It may be very hard for Xbox to break into Japan by purchasing a developer. Will SIFU be making its way on to Xbox, and what is going on with Halo Infinite? Welcome back to another video, guys. If you enjoy daily content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So since the beginning of this generation, Phil Spencer has continuously talked about how he really wants to change the view of Xbox in Japan, try to get more into the culture there, be more on top of the mind of gamers in Japan. And one of the ways, obviously, that they're going to be able to do this is by getting Japanese developers to make games for the platform, and particularly put those games onto Xbox Game Pass. Right now, there's Tango Gameworks. That's their main Japanese developer that came with the purchase of Bethesda. Their first game, or their next game that they are putting out right now since that purchase, is Ghostwire Tokyo, which is going to be exclusive to the PS5, but then will be coming over to Xbox and be coming to Xbox Game Pass. Like, trying to get into Japan is probably going to be a much harder task than we think. And there was some feedback on this from Dr. Serkan Toto, who is the CEO of Tokyo-based gaming industry consultancy Kantan Games. So first of all, he says that in some ways, if Microsoft was going to be taking over a big Japanese publisher, it would be bigger news than the plans to acquire Activision Blizzard for that $68.7 billion price tag. And while it's not out of the possibility of happening, they could be looking at companies like Sega, Square Enix, and Capcom. Now, out of those three that are mentioned there, they have a great relationship, I think, with all of them, but Sega in particular, going all the way back to the Dreamcast days, where they kind of collaborated with them with creating that console. And then the original Xbox, a lot of people refer to that console as the Dreamcast 2. And then even today, we just look at their overall relationship with the Azure technology and Sega making that deal with Xbox for their Super game. So there is definitely a strong relationship between Microsoft and Sega right now. Now, within Japan, there's something called Keiretsu. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but basically it's where these businesses all look out for each other within a particular industry because they have shares in each other's businesses. So if Microsoft were trying to take over a company, Dr. Shoto says, would be a suicide mission because everybody would leave instantly. And he also mentions, I would bet my house that this will not happen. Now, further to that, he also goes on to talk about how PlayStation could benefit from consolidation of the industry in Japan if one of the companies was going to, saying Sony, of course, has the home field advantage, and some of the challenges that would come up for Microsoft would not apply to Sony. It doesn't have to be one of the publicly traded powerhouses, but I believe Sony is at least considering making a move in Japan soon. So there's a lot of interesting information here from Dr. Toto, and making it sound like it's going to be almost impossible for Xbox to purchase one of these Japanese companies, but we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. I mean, they did get Tango Gameworks with the Bethesda deal, and they don't have to purchase a developer in general to make a bigger footprint in Japan. They just have to go out and get more Japanese style games, JRPGs, on Xbox Game Pass service that are available through the cloud, that are going to be able to be played on people's phones and just anywhere, any device, obviously as well through the Xbox Series X and S, which are selling better this generation. So, I mean, which isn't hard to do compared to the Xbox One, but still are doing significantly better than last generation. But then they also kind of have to try to get smaller developers to invest in Xbox, go out and see if they will develop maybe some day one Game Pass games for the service, which would entice people to sign up to the ecosystem. I think for Xbox themselves, their main goal isn't to try to get people to go out and buy a Series X and S, although they would like to see that. They're just going to try to get more people in to that ecosystem so that they can jump in and see what Game Pass has to offer. And if there is a good enough selection of games that they enjoy, that's how they're going to try to build their foothold within Japan. So SIFU game is out today, looks really good, a game that I definitely want to check out and play. It's on PS4, PS5, and on the PC, but missing on the Xbox Series X and S. So if you are looking to play this game on Xbox, you most likely will be able to at some point. We just don't know when, as it was confirmed on this Reddit thread here where somebody was asking, hey, where is it on Xbox? I'm looking for it. I don't have PlayStation. And Slow Clap, the developers, had this to say: the exclusivity is time limited, but our entire team is currently focusing solely on PlayStation and Epic versions of SIFU for launch on February 8th. Keep following our social channels for news and updates on the matter. Now, this game looks awesome. Like I said, I really do want to play it. I don't know if I'm going to wait until it comes on to Xbox, or maybe I'll play it on PS5 because I haven't been playing my PS5 too much, and it's a game that would definitely get me to pick up the controller. But going forward, it will make its way onto Xbox. I'd assume when they mean that it's time, that they're going to just be putting it out on Xbox. Is really the only other platform out there that they could put it on. Maybe the Nintendo Switch as well, if they could somehow optimize it for that platform. But it's kind of sucks, right? That's just what is terrible with timed exclusivity. You're locking it to one console, and then you're also locking it to the Epic Game Store. So if you're on Steam as well, you're kind of missing out on that as well. But definitely looking forward to the game. Looks very cool. It's like a kung fu brawler, and just cool graphics style. I heard the combat is some of the best combat out there, and apparently you go through and you're like aging in levels and stuff. So definitely a game right up my alley that I'm excited to eventually play. And finally, here to end off today's video, we got to talk about Halo Infinite and the player retention, which is sharply declining. So Halo Infinite, if you haven't played it yet, is a very, very good Halo. Incredible multiplayer, extremely fun campaign, one of the best in this series. And when this game launched, everybody was playing it. They had 200K on Steam on its launch day. There were 20 million players that have played Halo Infinite in total so far. But as of right now, it's actually fallen out of the top 5 most played games on Xbox. And it is number 6 right now, but it hovers around 10 to 20K concurrent players. Now, there's a lot of issues with this game. It's definitely not perfect, especially with the multiplayer, with people complaining about the actual prices of the cosmetics. The battle pass at the start before the adjustments just wasn't great. It wasn't progressing fast enough for a lot of people. There were the fact that if you got cosmetics, they're only locked to a single armor core, which I think is pissing a lot of people off. There was issues with big team battle. There's issues on the PC, just like graphical frame rate issues, as well as the cheating, which is absolutely terrible because the anti-cheat system isn't great with Halo Infinite. But because of all this, the concurrent players are falling. And yes, all of the technical issues, like I mentioned, and the battle pass and all that type of stuff are major issues that they need to continue to fix and make sure that work properly. But the number one thing I think as to why this game is falling in concurrent players is just the lack of content right now. You think of something like Forge. If they add Forge in the next season, all the user generated content, you almost will have no issues with not enough content to be able to play in terms of the maps and the different areas in multiplayer. And then you have stuff like the different game modes. I mean, right, for the beginning of the launch of Halo Infinite, there were a lot of game modes missing that people wanted to see, and then they would lock game modes, or they still do lock game modes, to events. And I would love to see them just kind of keep those game modes as separate playlists to always be able to play. And people are finished the battle pass. That's probably one of the biggest things as well, is that a lot of people have gotten to the end of the battle pass, and if there isn't that continuous grind to unlock cosmetics or to unlock at least something when you're playing in multiplayer, people are going to drop off. And this is one of the main things that I think 343 needs to look at. And it's maybe just adding some sort of XP progression system to Halo Infinite, aside from the battle pass as the only bar that you see increasing for your progression, because that alone will get people to continuously play. If they have sort of like the, I guess, Call of Duty progression system where you can prestige and all that type of stuff, that will keep people continuously playing when they're done their battle pass and coming back almost every day to continue to grow. Without that, we're seeing what's happening now. And as soon as they launch more content, as soon as they launch another event and then the next battle pass, the numbers will increase, in my opinion. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this. Do you want to see Xbox get a Japanese publisher? Do you think they have a chance after what that analyst said? Are you excited for SIFU, and will you be playing it right now, or you be waiting for it to come out on Xbox? And what do you think the biggest problem is with Halo Infinite? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you like what you saw, consider hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next video.
We'll be right back.